countries, they used to do it with in Scandinavisk. Isn't it right, Mikael? Everyone spoke their language with a bit of the other's language. It was a mixture, but people understood each other. Now we go to English. That's I think it's a bit sad, but maybe also better in at least in my case, to make sure you understand that you understand me. So good morning, everyone. We are starting going deep into the topic of Brachot, and I'm looking forward to start. Now, does everyone know the word bracha? Oh, okay, good. So I don't need to. We will go to the meaning of the word bracha, and but we'll start immediately with our source sheet and see the sources. Today's introduction to Brachot. We'll understand what the concept and hopefully a bit of the meaning. So Helena, can you share the screen? Thanks so much. Well, while the concept of bracha that all of us use of blessing, it's a concept that we take as granted, but it's not at all. In the Torah, the word bracha is mentioned many times, but usually as I will say, not the word blessing that we use today with bracha. I'll go to the Danish. In Danish, we call bracha velsignelse when someone is blessed. But when we talk about a bracha that you say, or about when you eat something and such, you say lovsigelse. We separate these two. In English and in Hebrew, you have one word, bracha. But I think it's easier to understand in Danish, where you have the differences between something that is a blessing, but the blessing of God, while when you talk about a blessing of people, that's another concept. In the Torah is filled with blessings of people. You could say that the goal of our nation, we have already in the start when God talks to Abraham, he says, "Ve'yeh bracha." You should be a blessing, but it means you should be a blessing to humankind, or people would use your name as a blessing, but not. But it had nothing to do with saying bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam. Like the formula of it's more the concept of being blessed and such. While saying a bracha, it's actually mentioned. It's mentioned once in the Torah. And that is the one in Dvarim that we say during the Birkat HaMazon, the Bourbon, the blessing after the food. V'achalta v'savata u'verachta et Adonai Elohecha al haaretz v'tova asher natan lach. And when you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the Lord, to Hashem your God, for the good land which He has given you. So that is the only source in the Torah that has something to do with saying a blessing. That's not so it's not a concept that comes from the Torah, and it's very important regarding the idea of brachot, that what comes from the Torah and what comes from the rabbis. And this is already a question. Great, Rebecca.
Yes. So I don't know if it's too soon, but you mentioned it, so I'm just going to ask the question. So during the reading, it says that the blessing after the food is Torah law, and so I was just wondering if the other blessings are those time bound, and does that mean that women are not obligated to do them?
Okay. First of all, none of them are time bound, right? Because it's except. You could say a bracha about something that is connected to time. It might be, but the bracha, it's not about time or not. It's about rabbinical law or the law from the Torah, which is actually very critical regarding bracha. This is one of the best examples to understand these concepts Doraita and the Rabbanan. These are two words that you are going to hear so much during the coming years about, is this law from Doraita or from the Rabbanan? What does it mean, Doraita? Yeah, someone here already knows. Marushka, yeah? Do you want to?
That would be the laws from the Torah?
Yes. Oraita is the word in Aramaic of Torah. So Deoraita means Shel HaTorah, from Torah, from the Torah. That's Deoraita. And then you have the Rabbanan, which means?
Well, it makes sense that would be the laws from the rabbis have discussed.
From the rabbis, exactly. Yeah. Now, these two categories doesn't mean that one is you are obligated and the other one not so much. They mean that there are different regarding questions. The best example that we'll have here in Bracha is what do you do when there's a doubt? If you're not sure if you did it or not, then if something comes from the Torah, then you have to do it again to make sure you did it. While if it's from the rabbis, then you don't do it again. So that's one of the classical big differences. But the Oraita and the Rabbanan are words that are good to remember. But let's go to the details of the of the source sheet. So this is like really a brief introduction. The Talmud in Bava Kama says, this is a short one, so I'll read it, but the next one I will let you read. Rav Yudah says, one who wants to be pious should observe the matters of Nezikin. Rava said the matters of Avot, and some say the matters of Brachot. It's this is the word pious. It's I would say from maybe more modern, but someone who wants to do extra, be extra cautious, do a special effort. What should he concentrate on? And that's interesting. The three concepts, three possibilities that the Talmud gives. The first one says the matter of Nezikin. Nezikin is all the matters of relations between people when they Nezikin is something that harms someone else. Mezik. So when you, for example, build something on might hurt other people, you have to be extra cautious. Or in general, questions of relations between people, and that's where you have to be very cautious. The other one says matters of avot. Avot is, do you know what any one of you know what Masechet Avot is? Avot is one of the most favorite Mishnah tractates, because this is the one that is more moral. It's about the way a person should be, and not the question of details of the law, of the rules. It's not a matter of, it's not so much of halacha. It's more of the way you're supposed to be as a person. And that is actually a tractate that we read during the summertime every mincha. You read a chapter of Avot, so you find it in the Sidurim. You have it in translation to Danish, to Norwegian now, I assume, right, Michael?
It was not included.
It wasn't included?
It was not included in Norwegian. It was since the tradition was kind of lost here. So I've saved a lot of translation work.
Yeah, that saves a lot of translation work, but you missed an opportunity to have a wonderful text. But I understand why you have to leave things outside. But anyways, that's a matter of Avot, and some say the matter of Brachot. And that is interesting. Like when you can understand, like the first it says you have to be extra cautious in regarding places where you can harm other people. That I can understand why someone say this is the most. If you want to be pious, do that. Make sure you don't harm any other people. That I understand. Other one who says go to the moral aspects, Masechet Avot, of all the that I can also understand. But why brachot? And these are the three options. Brachot, saying blessings over food and over the different thing that we will learn today. This is one to want to be extra pious. You should be careful with brachot. Now, I'll leave this question open. I don't know why that is the right answer. Maybe we'll come to something at the end of this shiur, but it's immediately puts it in a whole different category. It comes here before kosher, before prayers, before every other aspect. I think that probably if I asked you to decide yourself or to suggest what is the most important thing you should do as a Jew, if you want to be extra pious, my guess is that none of you would have said brachot. Like, so it's very not initiative. I think that's interesting, at least, but it also gives us immediately a whole different place that we have to take it with curiosity. That's also why we chose to take brachot as the first topic that we will learn in the Beit Midrash, because this is one of the things that we all want to be extra pious, right? So so let's take this seriously. Yeah, so this is a start. Let's go down. You can see that the word brachot is also the first tractate in the Mishnah, in the Talmud. So it feels a lot in the Jewish tradition. Yes, Lars?
Yes, I just wonder, the first, the Nizikim, is this the things in Bava Kama that like the stuff that are regulated, like if you dig a hole in the ground, you have to do like that and that?
Exactly.
So you not just have to be careful by following the laws with regarding this. You also have to be careful doing the brachots concerning all this stuff, or what was
in this saying in the Talmud, one said Nezikin is the one you need to be careful. Someone else said Avot, and the third said Brachot. So you had like three different opinions in the Talmud. Of course,
okay.
Last, it's always good to be careful with all of these things.
Yes, yeah, yes.
But you're right. By the way, when you said Baba Kama, the original, there are three. The Baba Kama, Baba Batra, and Baba Metzia, there are three different tractates that originally, in the first Mishnah, it was found in handwritings, was called Masechet Nezikim. All three, Nezikim was so big, so they made it into three different. The first, the middle, and the last. Baba Kama, Metzia, and Batra. But originally the word was Nezikin for all of the three. So you are very right regarding the topic of Baba.
Okay.
Yes. So let's go to the Talmud, Brachot. Who can explain to us what the Talmud is? Just to have a good reminder. I might ask someone. That will be. Adam, do you want to try?
It's the law, I suppose you could say. It's the major text of the laws.
Yeah, from when? When was it? Where does it come from?
Recall it was written down after the oral law, so it's the. Is it not sort of a codification of what came before as what was oral law? So it came.
Yeah, but that will be more the Mishnah, I would say. That like when you that is the oral law. Adam, you want to try?
Yes, I'm not sure about this, but they were the Babylonian Talmud was written during the Babylonian captivity, correct?
Not during the Babylonian captivity. That's long before. The Babylonian captivity was before the Second Temple, but this is long after the Second Temple. The Talmud, you have one in Israel, Yerushalmi Talmud, and one in Babylon Talmud. But the Babylon Talmud was written more or less. It's a gathering of discussions around the Mishnah from more or less 250, 300 until 500-600. Like this is a period. If you take a thumb rule, you'd say 200 to 300. And when it does say Talmud, it doesn't say Yerushalmi or Bavli, it comes from the Bavli. The one that we use is the Bavli, mainly because it was much more edited, so it's much easier to understand. The Talmud Yerushalmi, it's much harder to understand and to read simply. So, so let's read Talmud Brachot 35. Who wants to read? Beatrice? Yeah, do you want to? Good. So you just need to, great.
Can you please help me if I express some words wrong so I can learn?
Don't worry, no punishment if you express.
No, I just want to learn. Thank you. Okay, the sages thought in a Tosefta, one is forbidden to derive benefits from this world without a blessing. And anyone who derives benefits from this world without a blessing are guilty of misuse. What is he remandai? He should go to sage.
Yes. Okay, so this is like when we start. First of all, there's a word that probably most of you don't recognize. The word tosefta. Tosefta is a piece of oral law that comes from the Mishnah time, but didn't go into the Mishnah. They had more codex, not only the Mishnah, but they had more what we call Braita and Tosefta that are equally important from the Mishnah time, but they didn't go. The Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who edited the Mishnah, decided not to put it in the Mishnah. But it's an important source, but it comes before Talmud. So the sages taught in the Tosefta a principle: one is forbidden to derive benefit from this world without a blessing. Okay, this is a phrase that you should remember, that you're not allowed to benefit the world without a blessing in general. And then it goes further. And if you do that, what should you do? He's guilty of misuse. But what should he do to fix it? He should go to a sage. He should go to a rabbi. Okay, so let's continue. Let's see how can a rabbi help in this? Yes.
He should go to a sage. What will he do?
Go to a sage? It's a what? The Talmud asks. How? What? You should go to a sage. Why?
He's already violated a prohibition. Rather, Rav said he should go to a sage initially, and will teach him blessings so that he will not come to misuse.
Okay, exactly. So why should you go to a rabbi? For the same reason that you are here today, to learn. To learn how to, not to fix the wrongdoing of the Brachot, of him not saying it, but to learn the Brachot that he will not do that again. Great. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Someone else want to continue?
I can do it.
Great. Yes, Sila.
Rav Yehuda said that Shmuel said, one who derives benefit from this world without a blessing, it is he enjoyed objects consecrated to the heavens. As it is stated, the earth and all it contains is the Lord's. Rabbi Levi raised a contradiction. It is written, the earth and all it contains is the Lord's, and it is written elsewhere, the heavens are the Lord's, and the earth he has given over to mankind. This is not difficult. Here before a blessing, here after a blessing.
Yes, so this is a great example when you have a Talmudic discussion. So one says that you're not allowed to, if you benefit from the world without a bracha, then it's as if you took something from God. And as it is said, the earth and all it contains is the Lord's. L'Hashem haaretz umloah. So everything belongs to God. Rabbi Levi raised a contradiction, saying, it doesn't only say that God owns the world. It says somewhere else that God owns the heavens, and He gave Ve'aretz natan livnei adam. He gave the earth to mankind. So how these two, how do they fit with each other? So this is not difficult. Here before blessing and here after blessing. So these two, when you say a blessing, it's as if you take it from God's ownership to your own. Like you get saying the blessing is just like purchasing something in the shops. You take it from one ownership to somewhere else. This is a payment you're supposed to give to get the right to use the land. It's saying a blessing. This is the direction. Yes, let's continue. If anyone has a question, you should just go in and ask, because I'm not sure that I'll see you. So just unmute and ask. Yeah, but we can continue. Cecilia?
Okay. Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa said, anyone who derives benefit from this world without a blessing, it is as he stole from God and the community of Israel, as it is stated, whoever robs his father and his mother and says, it is no transgression, he is the companion of a destroyer. His father refers to none other than God, as it is stated, is he not your father who created you? His mother refers to none other than the community of Israel, as it is stated, hear, my son, the discipline of your father, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother.
So, who's your mother? Your mother is Israel. Your father is God. And this now we're not going to take the question of identity. How do you call it? Migdar, man, woman, who's
Gender.
what? Gender. Yes, I will not take the gender question here, especially when. Yeah, that's too big. But the principle is clear that you take from your father, from your mother, you take from all, you take from everyone if you don't bless. So remember to bless. That's the first part. But you can see also how much it fills. Like you have so many different. It's not the usual that you have so many different explanation why is it so important. So either it's because it's so important, but you might also say that people are used to not doing it. So you have to put extra pressure. You can guess when the rabbi talk a lot about it. Maybe it's because people don't do it. So you need to talk more about it. That's like talking about coming to minyan in our communities. It's you say it many times. It's not because not only because it's important, but also because people not usually are careful with doing it all the time. Good. So let's go to the next source. In Talmud Brachot again, of course, sources from Brachot are the main ones we are using when we're studying about the idea of Brachot. That's natural.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah, Romina.
What if you don't have kavanah and you're just saying Hashem's name while thinking of something else? Should you still say the brachot, or shall you?
The bracha you say, first of all, when you decide to say bracha, you already do it with kavanah.
Okay.
Regarding the word kavanah, we take it in many times. The word kavanah, how would we? Kavanah is
On purpose.
Exactly.
Intention, maybe.
It can be two things. One thing is in purpose or not. Another one is, do you do it with your heart? Kavanas. Do you are you very? Do you think about that? But doing it in purpose. When you say a bracha, regardless if your mind is somewhere else, you did do it in purpose. Yes, when you said a bracha, and in that sense, you did it not. You didn't do it without kavanah. You meant to say a bracha because you're supposed to. Now, are you supposed to have the deeper meaning of bracha every time? Do you really think, wow, blessed God, the King, our God, the King of the universe who created this fruit? Do we really think about it every time we say this phrase about the meaning, the deeper meaning? I'm not sure. At least I don't. But I'm not in the high level. But I do know people. There had a rabbi in Israel, a Hasidic rabbi that I was very much connected to. I really he thought about every word that comes out of his mouth. He was one of the pious. He won't call himself the one, but he was definitely. But yes, you say also if you don't. Yes, you.
Yeah. So does it count when someone else has to hear the bracha, or is it okay you just like say it in yourself?
Yeah, so we'll go into all these details, but the bracha you're supposed to say it in a way that you hear, but you can also say it at heart if in a special situation, but you don't have to have someone else to hear it. If someone else hears it, or if you hear it, then you're supposed to say amen afterwards. But that is like when you go around and eat and do the other thing that you need to say brachot, you don't need to have someone else to hear it. Brachot is not a tefillah that you're supposed to do in public. Like there's no need and there's no reason to do it, especially in public. If there is a public of Jews, then you can do a bracha that one say it out loud for everyone. But that's only if you are in that situation. But it's not meant for that. It's not like we don't need to create such a situation to say bracha. There's no special interest to say bracha in a great public. That's not the thing.
But you said that it like doesn't matter really if you really think about what you're saying, but shouldn't it be some kind of aim to direct your thoughts about some kind of thankfulness, and this repetition is some kind of help that should lead to more and more, not less and less, or not exactly the same, but some kind of
I definitely didn't say it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
But you're supposed to do it also if you don't.
Yes, but
that's what I said. I didn't say. I also said that I'm not in the high level. That every time I say bracha, I think of the deeper meaning of the bracha, not also every second time.
But
you're right that the goal that I see it, that you put when it's part of your life. One thing in the practical aspect, you're supposed to say bracha because you're making a stop to put God in between you and the thing you want to take.
Yeah,
the thing this is one aspect. The other one is the possibility to create this reflection.
Yes.
Constantly, which I agree with you.
Yeah, and that's not so big. I mean, that you don't have to be this Hasidic person to go there. I mean, for example, when you have waters on the flowers at home, maybe you think a little bit about something. It gets kind of more and more. It gets a reflex after a while to direct the thoughts about the life-giving aspect of the.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, Rebecca.
No, I was just wondering, like, when is the appropriate time to do this? Is it usually in your private home? Because as you said publicly, I mean, I don't think I would be comfortable doing it probably at work, if that makes sense. Like if I'm eating lunch or.
But you're supposed to do it all the time. Let's say if you feel that at work it will be weird for people to see you saying a bracha.
Yeah.
Then you can do it at heart. You can say it in your head.
Yeah. Okay.
You can say it in your head without saying it out loud.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to do it everywhere all the time. Every time you drink, every time you eat, every time you. We will see also other aspects, not only brachot for eating, what we call brachot hane'enim. There are also other ones.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to do it all the time. There's no, there are no exceptions for bracha. No exceptions.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, Mika?
I think you already kind of said it, but I personally think that the very moment that you every time before drinking a cup of water you say a bracha, I do think you have tremendous saying about your life, that you don't just drink, but you enter a prayer or bracha. So one will say that the big, deeper kavanah you are talking about and levels, I'm not so sure. I do think that one should. This is a statement that you thank God for drinking the water, and I think that you are right. It's very hard every time to have a philosophical kind of a session in your head before you drink the water and say the bracha.
Yeah, but Arad, I will try maybe to answer your question that you wrote in Hebrew later. So remind me that. I agree with you, Mikhail, complete. So let's continue. We have many sources to go through and not a lot of time. Yeah. Who should I?
Can read.
Yes, great, Kato.
Rav said, any blessing that does not contain mention of God's name is not a blessing. And Rabbi Yohanan said, any blessing that does not contain mention of God's sovereignty is not a blessing. Abaya said it stands to reason in accordance with Rav, as it was taught in Tosefta. I did not transgress your mitzvot, and I did not forget. I did not transgress for blessing you, and I did not forget to mention your name over it. However, this Braita did not teach sovereignty. And Rabbi Yohan amended the Braita, and I did not forget to mention your name and your sovereignty over it.
Yes. So we can see here something. First of all, when you see such a discussion, you understand that the concept of Brachot wasn't as clear, let's say, wasn't that as detailed as today, what exactly you're supposed to say when. Because if they give an option, it's not a real bracha if you do it this way or that way. It means they didn't have a textbook. They didn't just open a siddur and saw what are the brachot. They had to invent their brachot in a way, and then they gave a category at that time of the Talmud. When you say it's Rav is in the time of the Talmud. Rabbi Yochanan is the one that goes from Mishnah time to the Talmud time. So he's in a way he's both. He's the last Tanaim, the last from the Mishnah, and the first of the Amoraim, the first of the Talmud time. But we have a discussion from the Talmud time where they explain what you're supposed to have when you say a bracha, which means they didn't have the textbooks, as I said, and they add the aspect that we say until today, right? When we say bracha, we say Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam. We say blessed are you, Hashem, with God's name, our God. So we mention Hashem, our God, Melech Haolam, King of the universe. So we mention God and we mention His sovereignty. So we mentioned both aspects that come exactly from this Talmud. So when you ask how was that created? Historically, it was created more or less in this time when the language, when the text was created according to the laws and the time they discussed these laws, when things were more free. You'll see the same thing when one day we'll learn about tefillah, and you can see they have discussion with tefillah that we take. Why do they discuss? You're supposed to do what's written in the siddur, but they didn't have a siddur. It's also a time before print, so you couldn't just waste paper on detail that everyone can use, and it's not something that you had in every home. So there were more flexibility at that time. That maybe is also a start on an answer on your question that Arad asked, why don't you add new blessings today? We're actually allowed to say new blessings, but the question about the blessing when you use God's name, because you're not supposed to use God's name in vain. So that there's a question there.
There is also a blessing for new things.
Yeah.
When you do things for the first time.
He said new blessings, not new. New thing, but new blessings.
Yeah, I just thought about that. I did a webinar with a new technique, and I got the opportunity to say the blessing over. This is the first time I do this, so that could be used
for a new.
Yeah.
Shechianu is one of the brachot, but you we'll talk. We'll come to that.
Yes, yes.
But I can say that there was a rabbinic discussion. What is the right blessing for vaccination? Maybe I'm not sure if we'll come to that today. We might come to that in a few weeks. So I'll let you think about it.
I have a question.
Yeah. So we have Sophie, Cecilia. Yeah.
How do you translate baraita?
Braita. You don't translate it. You don't translate it. It's a Tannaitic source, a source from the Mishnah time that is not Mishnah.
Okay.
It's Braita is a name of this category. It's an outside source. It's an outside source from the Mishnah time. That's a Braita. Yeah, Sophie.
I was just thinking about the morning prayer. Is that not a prayer then? Because it's not the morning prayer.
Yeah, but that's not a bracha. That's a tefillah.
No.
Tefillah is a different concept. Tefillah
So
is not.
I'm a bit confused. What's the differences exactly?
Okay. I would say tefillah is prayer.
Oh.
Tefillah is prayer, and bracha is the blessing. So what are the categories of the here? I brought it from the Rambam, so we can let's go over to that one. The Rambam at the end here. All blessings accordingly fall into three kinds. So that will be. Let's just say a word about the Rambam. Sophie, do you remember who Rambam is?
Yes.
No.
No. Good. Someone wants to help Sophie.
He's a doctor and a person who was extremely productive and wrote very much. And his name is Rabbi Moshe Ben something.
Ben Maimon.
Maimon, yeah.
Yes.
Maimonides, yeah.
Yeah, in English and in Danish you'll say Maimonides.
Maimonides, yeah, and he lived in Spain, and then he moved to somewhere in North
Africa and
Africa.
Egypt. Yes.
Yeah.
And he, but Rambam is extremely important because he was the one that after a very long time of studying around Talmud, that he changed the way we learn Judaism.
He wrote the Mishneh Torah.
Exactly, he wrote the Mishneh Torah. This is a piece from the Mishneh Torah. When he put all the rules in a way that you can open and do as it said. In the Mishnah and the Talmud, you had discussion. You couldn't open it. It wasn't a guidebook. And Rambam wrote the Mishneh Torah as a guidebook, but a guidebook to all of Judaism. Also things that doesn't exist anymore, but it was like a book. He said that you don't need any other book after you have his book. Now that was when he wrote it. There was also a lot of criticism about this book. But he started an era when you in that sense, after he did that and categorized in a different way all the mitzvot, all the rules, also not explaining what is his source. We know where he took his sources, but he didn't explain where they came from. But this is what the stars that led us towards Shulchan Aruch that we will use a lot here, and what we do today. So this is Rambam 1100. Yes, Michael?
Maybe you will use the word the first and biggest codifier of Jewish law.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe that would be the better word to understand that he codified the whole law.
Yes. They said about him, from Moshe ad Moshe lo kam k'Moshe. From Moses until Moses, there was no one like Moses. So he's considered the greatest rabbi of I wouldn't say modern time, because from the 1100, but he is considered the greatest rabbi since the Talmud time until today. And wrote amazing books before he was 24. It's unthinkable, the depth and of his writings in a very young age, and in his amazing writing. Anyways, So one of it is, of course, one of it is his topic that he writes in Brachot. And then he says, Sophie, you can read it. So we can...
All blessings accordingly fall into three kinds. Blessings recited when partaking of material enjoyments. Hanenin. Blessings recited when fulfilling religious duties. Hamitzvot.
Yeah, so Birkot HaNehenim, Birkot HaMitzvot, these are the name of the categories. It's good to remember also the Hebrew name. That's why I wrote it in the, yes.
And blessings of thanksgiving, Hoda'ah, which have the character of praise, thanksgiving, and supplication, and the purpose of which is that we should always have the Creator in mind and revere Him.
Okay, so we have here the three, when you were asked about Shulchan Aruch comes later, Arad, it's 400 years after Rambam, but we'll come to him some other time. So Birkot HaNehenim, what are these three categories? One is Birkot HaNehenim, one is Birkot HaMitzvot. The last one, Hoda'ah, usually today you will say Birkot HaRe'iyah, the Brachot that you say when you see things, so Thanksgiving or
rainbow.
For example, we have a long list. I hope that you all read the chapter that we sent, but apparently not everyone got it. Yes, we can definitely send it before. I'll try to send the next one before. So, because I hope to go through some of these brachot, but let's see. So, what is the difference when you see this? What is the difference between tefillah and bracha? Can one of you maybe suggest what is the difference between bracha and tefillah?
Yeah, it's very hard to say. Inside, for example, the Shakarit, there are different blessings, isn't it?
Yes.
But is it stopping davening or tefillah then, or what is? Is it just some parts of the praying in the morning that's actually tefillah, and the others, and the stopping tefillah and being a bracha?
Yeah, it's a great example. You inside the tefillah, inside our prayer, we have things that are blessings. We have 90
like in
blessings.
Imam Amidah.
Blessings in Amidah, in the regular. On high holidays and Shabbat, we have 7. We have the blessings, Birkot HaShachar. So some part of our tefillah is blessings, but blessings are not tefillah. Blessings is blessings of God. When you say Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you, God, yes, and with some kind of a content. When we talk about the concept of blessings, I would say that it's something we do when we experience something. It's either eating, as it says here, eating or having lariach, when you wow, how do you say that?
To smell.
Smell. Well, the word disappeared from me. So when you smell something nice, when you see something, when you eat something, also if you see, it's an experience. I would say that bracha is connected to an experience that happens in your world. Tefillah is a mindset when you take a pause and go to pray to God. Pray is the worshiping of God. Bracha is not a worshiping of God. It's an observation, and one is an observation, and it's a blessing of God. Tefillah is many other things, but tefillah is worship. You do that to worship God. We don't do bracha to worship God. We do bracha actually when we need to eat, for example. Yeah. So when we experience the world, when we meet in the meeting, our meeting with God in different aspects in our daily life, or our choice to see God in these meetings, in these experiences. But this is not like something that is, it's not connected to a time. If you don't eat the whole day, you don't say a bracha, but you have to say tefillah. You have to set time to worship God. That's a different kind of, so tefillah is the more worshiping. It contains some brachot, but it is worshiping. While bracha is that you do when you experience. Now you're supposed to, the tradition that you're supposed to say at least 100 blessing every day. When you say 3 times Birkat Tfilat Amidah and Birkot Shachar, you're already at 70. So it's not very hard to come to 100 a day. But this is a goal of trying to reach these 100 blessings every day, which mean really fill fill God's presence in your daily life. This is like a part of the goal of the bracha. So I'll just say a word about these 3 categories. So we say Birkot Nehenim, everything you enjoy. So smelling or eating, things where you have an enjoyment of the world. These are the most brachot that we usually talk about, the different kind of brachot, those that we are going to talk about in the future. Then you have brachot hamitzvot, the bracha that you say when you're performing a mitzvah. Like, do you know any?
Birkat Hamazon.
But in Birkat Hamazon, it's Birkot Nehenim. It's because you ate.
So what about lighting the Shabbat candles?
Yes, for example, when you light Shabbat candles, every time you do a mitzvah, when you put a talit, how do you differentiate the two? Differentiate. You have the long bracha and the short bracha. Yes, you have the bracha that is Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam, and then you say, what is it about? Blessed are you, God, our God, creator of the world, that created something. But when it's Birkat HaMitzvot, it's a longer one. You have Asher Kideshanu b'mitzvotav etzivanu. You add other 5 words to the formula, and then you only say, what is it about? So you have the formula is longer, of the Birkot HaMitzvot, and that is the one many times you will say 2 different ones. For example, when we eat in the Sukkah, in Sukkot, so you'll say, Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. It's not Birkat HaMitzvot, but then you say Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leishev b'sukkah. That gave us a mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah. So you say one short and one long. You'll say one Birkat HaMitzvot because you're performing a mitzvah to eat in the sukkah, but you also say a short bracha of eating. Then you need to say both. It's 2 and 1. That's a good thing. Both having So these are the 2 main categories. The last one that people do the least. The Modeni is not Modeni is not a bracha. It's a more statement. I would say it's being thankful, gratitude. But it's not something you use. It's not something you control. You don't choose to. Right? You wake up. It's not something you're about to choose to do. You say bracha when you're about to choose to do something, or when you saw something tremendous. It's very clear which brachot do we have in the morning? Birkot HaShachar. And originally, Birkot HaShachar, the brachot that are in the Siddur, many of you probably are now like, Birkot HaShachar, what do you mean by that? We'll probably go through them when we go to prayer. But originally, these brachot were said during things you did in the morning. For example, you have Malbish Arumim, Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Malbish Arumim, who dresses those who are naked. Originally, they said it while you took clothes on. So you had brachot during morning, let's say, morning ritual. How when you woke up in the morning and every step on the way, when you did something, you said a bracha. Later, they turned to be the Birkot HaShachar that you say in within your prayer. but originally were kind of that. So they were connected to experiences, like Birkot HaRe'iyah, like Birkot HaDa'ah, Birkot HaShevach. These things about Thanksgiving, and but it changed. So that's not so modern in that sense is not. And I will add to what is the Hoda'ah. Hoda'ah is those, as someone mentioned, when we say the rainbow, or when we see a king. We just experienced that in the synagogue in Norway when the king came on a visit, and I think it was my brother who said the bracha of seeing when you see the king. So you say that it's very rare bracha. You say there's a discussion. You're supposed to say it in a country when the king is not really the one to decide, but again, a very special bracha that's very rare to say. You say it also when you say see a great scholar, someone who's a great professor, for example. Then you're supposed to say bracha that he gave of his wisdom to mankind, and the same also when you say sage, a great rabbi. Not every rabbi. Like, don't say it when you see me, but if it's a great rabbi, then you're supposed to say it. Someone that really knowledgeable. If it was my grandfather, then you might, or my father, then you should say it. So these are like the three categories, and that are connected to experiences, and I think that is the main theme regarding the Brachot, that it's about connecting God to our daily experiences. Like this is the whole concept of Brachot, that every thing we do, thing we see, thing we experience, we bring God and connect him to. We make a pause. It's before all these Brachot we say before almost all of them. We say before you do it. There are very few exceptions, but and we won't take it right now. And as a finishing for this introduction to Brachot, before we go to the details and of the rules, I want to talk about the very concept of the word bracha. And the word bracha, that as I said, as a blessing, comes in the Torah many times. It has three classical interpretation. What is the source? Where does it come from? So I brought these are people that are very important, but I won't go to remembering them, because they're not people that we'll go back to all the time. That even though they were great rabbis, that doesn't mean that we'll have them so much here. It's good to learn about it if you want to deepen your horizon. But Teshuvot HaRashba was one of the great rabbis of Spain, and there he said that Teshuvot HaRashba, the first. He said, truly the phrasing of bracha is addition and multiplicity, and it derives from the brechot hamayim, water pools. You can say the word bracha is connected to brecha. It's an interesting direction. He says this is connecting to the source of just like a pool that adds more and more water. So what is bracha? Bracha is about the shefa, that like how much you can add more and more to the. I'm not sure the word shefa how it's translated in English, but it's a lot. Shefa is when it's overflow. Shefa is overflow. When you have like really a lot. So this comes the word bracha. The whole idea about this overflow that can say either because we are happy for all the overflow that we get, it's all the extra and chat, but it might also be that we want to add more and ask for more in that sense. So this is like one direction, saying that the bracha is connected to this to water, to brachat mayim. A different one comes from Rabbi Bechayei ibn Pruda, Bachya ibn Pruda, had a great interpretation on the Torah, and he cites Sefer HaBahir, which is a more Kabbalistic book. He said, what is the meaning of the phrasing of bracha? It derives from ni, berech bracha. You know, the right, the word, and this is berech lecha yichreun when you talk about kneeling. So bracha connects to kneeling, which we do towards a king. They said that to me every knee will kneel. This is something we say in the prayers a lot. So that the bracha is connected to kneeling, to the idea to kneel to God. Before God, when we do something, this is a different aspect. What is the word bracha, where it's come from? So either kneeling or bracha. Another one that is very interesting is from trees. That in trees you have lehavrich. When you mavrich a tree, is when you take they have like a bracha is originally a Hebrew word, like it's before Aramaic. You have bracha already in the Torah, so Aramaic, and that's it might have a Semitic source before that I don't know about, but it's still from the same word. Lehavrich is when you take a spear of a tree, like something that derives out of a tree, put it in the ground and create a new tree. So you give life to more, which is also a beautiful explanation of the word bracha. All these three, I'm not deciding which one is right. You might say that all of them are different aspects of bracha, but bracha is something that's supposed to give life and create more. It's about when we these things that we can bring, I think, to our brachot to see how we bring life connected to the source of life of brachot mayim. So connected to the source of life, or kneeling towards God, kneeling toward the king. That is also an aspect. But the last one is creating life, lehavrich, creating, planting something new. I think that can be also an interesting aspect. That's it for today. We'll continue next week, and we'll go to more details. We'll send you. It's the same. We don't have new chapters, so we will resend it to everyone. And if someone didn't get it, then write to the email, the info scan, like the one that was on the ad. So thank you so much for today, and I look forward to see you next week. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.